Section 7, subsection 1, capital A, where certain activities or transactions constitute a supply in accordance with the provisions of subsection 1. They shall be treated either as supply of goods or supply of services as referred to Schedule 2. What do you mean this? Why should I refer the Schedule 2? Because prior to the GST law, we had some ambiguity in application of the provisions. For example, my dear, you went along with your friends to the restaurant where I am a restaurant fellow. I supply the food to you, I serve the food to you, you eaten the food and I raise the bill. The law of the land that time was says it is supply of goods, pay the VAT. Central government says that is supply of services, pay the service tax. Sir, you want me to pay the 2 taxes? Yes, you have to pay, because in the case of restaurant there is a sale of goods are involved, therefore VAT attract. There is a service also involved, therefore service tax will attract. What is this type of pathetic situation? You want to tax twice in the name of VAT, in the name of service tax? Unfair. My cost, my product cost, my restaurant services will become costlier to the consumers. That time it was pathetic nature of application. It was a ill of indirect taxes. GST is a cure for ill of indirect taxes. Under the GST law, the GST Council taken care by saying that we are declaring here certain activities or transactions as supply of goods. You must follow. There is no question in this. If you raise the question about this, we won't accept. We declare that you follow. That's all says by the GST Council to the industry at large, saying that certain transactions or activities we will declare as supply of goods or supply of services. That's all. It may be in nature of service, we call supply of goods, you follow. It may be supply of goods, we call supply of services, you have to follow. If it is covered in Schedule 2, Schedule 2 we have presently 6 transactions, 6 activities which has been covered Schedule 2, which talks about what is supply of goods and what is supply of service. We must follow it accordingly. In this regard, I am bringing to a notice Schedule 2. Schedule 2 is as follows, my dear friends. First point, transfer. Transfer of title, goods only. Title transfer or goods only. Right only transferred, service. Right to use transferred, service. Transfer of title of goods under an agreement which stipulate that property in goods shall pass at a future date upon payment of full consideration as agreed. What do you mean this transaction you are talking here? This transaction nothing but hire purchase transaction. Pay the down payment today and purchase that particular product, and going on you pay installments and you will become the owner of the goods. Title on such goods will be transferred to the hire purchaser only when the hire purchaser paid all installments, including the last installment, then only that particular asset will become the asset of the buyer, namely hire purchaser. That means transfer the asset today, right to use from today, but title at the end of the day when you pay the all payments. In such case, the law of the land says that it is supply of goods only. Even today, when the down payment is paid and right to use the asset has been acquired, it is supply of goods. It may be for 10 years of installment, going on pay. At the end of the 10th year, hire purchaser will become the owner of the goods. That time the hire vendor will transfer that particular title to the buyer. In spite of that, today itself supply of goods. Hire purchase transaction covered on this particular category, Further, point number 2. First point, transfer. Second point, land and building. Land and building, lease, tenancy, easement, license to occupy the land. To occupy the land is different from to own the land. Is supply of service. Lease or letting or any building, including for business or commerce. Building might be a commercial building or residential complex, what not, as the case may be, wholly rented out or partly rented out, as the case may be. There is no title transferred, therefore supply of services. If land on which title transferred is called what? Anybody? Land on which title transferred, title, ownership transferred is called what? Quickly, fast. Respond to me, my semi-qualifieds. Supply of? Sorry? Not supply of goods. Neither supply of goods nor service, because immovable property. Understand that. Immovable property, not goods, not service. Therefore, sale of land, title of land has been transferred is not a supply, you have to say. If the right only transferred, you have to say supply of service. Further, my dear friends, treatment or process, very important point number 3, treatment or process. Any treatment or process which is applied to another person's goods. Treatment or process is nothing but a job work. In the case of a job work, the job worker is going to be carry out the activity or process on the goods of the others. Therefore, such a job worker always called as supplier of service. Further, my dear friends, point number 4. So far 3 points we referred out of 6 points. One is transfer, other one is land and building, third one is treatment or process. Point number 4. Transfer of business assets. Goods forming part of the business are transferred or disposed of by the owner. Disposed of. What type of disposal? It is an irrevocable disposal. Permanent transfer. In that case, it is called supply of goods. Further, the owner carrying the person carrying on business, namely the owner, uses that asset, business asset, or allows to use business assets for personal use. Permanent transfer not taken place, only temporary transfer has been taken place. In that case, it is supply of services. Further, point number, subpoint C here. Point number 4, subpoint C. Transfer of business assets permanently, supply of goods. It is used personally, temporarily, supply of services. Then, further, my dear friends, under the transfer of business assets, subpoint C. If the owner ceases to be a taxable person, then the assets will be assumed to be supplied by him in the course or furtherance of business immediately before the ceases to be a taxable person. Meaning, what to say here? Going concern of a registered person is going to wind up. Namely, I am a sole proprietor. I shut down my business from today. I am not going to be intention to carry any business further. In that case, I am a registered person. The date on which I ceases to become a taxable person, as on the date my business asset will be treated as deemed supply, is a supply only, supply of goods liable to pay GST. However, this point does not apply if the going concern going to be continue. I will explain. Going concern going to be continue. Before that, what do you mean by going concern is going to wind up? In the case of a liquidation of a company, in the case of a dissolution of a partnership firm, in the case of a insolvency of a partnership firm, or in the case of a sole proprietor passed away and there is no existence of the business further, in such cases, or a person who is applied for the want of deregistration, the person who opted in registration himself applied to cancellation of registration. In such cases, the going concern is going to be wind up. The going concern is going to wind up. Furthermore, the business is not going to be continue. In such cases, the person, taxable person, who is going to be ceases to become a taxable person, in that case, as on the date of cessation, as on the date of what we can call the closure of business, that particular business assets will be called as supply of goods. However, such a supply of goods concept does not apply in the case where If there is an absorption, there is an amalgamation, there is a transfer of business to the new unit, or in the case of a demerger, in all these cases, there is a going concern going to be continued in another name. As a result, in such case, this particular business assets does not treat as supply of goods, which I am presenting here. This is not applicable when the business is transferred as a going concern to another person, or the business is carried on by a personal representative who is deemed to be a taxable person. For example, Mr. Rafi running the Rafi Academy in Chennai for the past almost 20 years. Now my business has been handed over to you and I am going to USA permanently. Therefore, I have been appointed you as a representative of my business. In that case, you will be treated as deemed to be a taxable person. You should apply for registration and continue my business of Rafi Academy for coaching and teaching to the budding chartered accountants, cost accountants, company secretaries. So in such cases, going concern is existed. Therefore, in that case, it is not a supply of goods. It is not a supply of goods. Entire business has been sold. Yes, transferor, and the business assets and liabilities will become the assets and liabilities of the transferee. It is not a supply, not liable for GST. It is not supply of goods. What is not supply of goods? Supply of services. Such a supply of services is exempted under the notification 12/2017. Repeating, Rafi sir, Rafi owned Rafi Academy. This Rafi Academy, I hand over to you. You are a qualified CA, I hand over to you and I am leaving to USA. You are my representative in India to carry out the Rafi Academy. You will called as a taxable person, deemed taxable person. Then you have to apply for registration and obtain the registration based on your PAN number and continue my Rafi Academy. In that case, it is not supply of goods. If what is not supply of goods, obviously called supply of service. Such a supply of service where the transfer of business has been taken place, or I have been hand over my business to you as an official representative, in that case is a supply of service. Such a supply of service transaction very clearly given exemption under the notification number 12/2017 of the central tax, where it is a nil rate of GST. So exemption is there. Hence, only two things: you are closing the business permanently and going away. Then, being a registered person, you close your business permanently, the assets of yours will be deemed supply, namely supply of goods. If you hand over to somebody and going, the going is going to continue. Therefore, it is not supply of goods, it is supply of service. Such a transfer, supply of service nature, qualify from exemption. Further, my dear friends, so 4 points we referred. First one, transfer. Second one, land and building. Third one is the any treatment or process on the other's goods. And fourth point, the transfer of business assets. Point number 5, supply of service. The nature itself, the name heading itself, they given supply of service. The name itself, they said supply of service. Therefore, in that point number A, point number B, point number C, point number D, point number E, point number F will be called as supply of services. How to understand this? Renting of immovable property where there is no ownership has been transferred. If and what is transferred, only the right to use has been transferred. Supply of service. In the case of a construction nature of business where the construction of complex civil structure, whatnot, construction of service, construction itself the service. How can you say, though there may be material involved, there is a service involved? Construction of supply includes the value of the land, the value of material, the value of labor. 3 elements: value of land, the value of material, the value of labor. Material, labor, land value. Material value, labor value, land value. All 3 ingredients clubbed together, that is called construction supply, which is supply of services. Such a supply of service will not attract the GST, and it is not a supply also if it is supplied after obtained completion certificate from a competent authority or its first occupancy, whichever is earlier. After that, the entire consideration has been received for the construction service, it is not a supply because immovable property. For example, I am a builder. I constructed 6 flats. 6 flats apartment. Apartment name is Rafi Tower. Rafi Tower apartment. I am a builder. I constructed 6 flats in this particular Rafi Tower. Rafi Tower were constructed the Mr. Rafi entire 6 flats. Who is the owner of the Rafi Tower? Mr. Rafi. Mr. Rafi obtained the completion certificate from a competent authority. Yes, obtained, sir. Certificate has been granted by the municipal corporation stating that this building construction has been successfully completed. Now I am the owner of the building. I am a builder. I constructed. Now, after obtaining the completion certificate from the competent authority, I am selling 2 flats. 1 flat to you, 1 flat to my friend. Each one 1 crore. I got 2 crores. Is supply of goods, supply of services? It is neither supply of goods nor supply of services because it is an immovable property which I supplied. No, sir. Rafi Tower is going to be constructed by builder Mr. Rafi. Part by part is going to construct. Today is the Bhumi Puja has been taken place where Mr. Rafi's friend as well as you, both of them booked 2 flats. Part I am collecting from you, part I am constructing for you. In that case, supply of services. Though the value of the contract includes the land value, the value of the contract includes the material value, value of the contract includes labor value. The 3 values are included in one particular place: land value, material value, labor value, clubbed together, named as construction supply of service. No, sir, land value not there, sir. Only the material value plus labor is there, sir, in the nature of construction, sir. In that case, no longer called construction, it is called as works contract. Difference between the construction contract, works contract only with one. It is both of construction as well as works contract in relation to immovable property, construction of immovable property. But what difference here means, the value of supply includes the land value, construction service. Exclude the land value, works contract service. Otherwise, in both the cases, material value, labor value is included. Got the clarity, my dear friends? Material plus labor plus land, construction service. Material, labor, that's all. No value of land, works contract. Both are in relation to immovable property, construction of an immovable property. Land value included, construction service. Land value excluded, works contract service. But anyhow, you understand this supply of service. One is renting, one is construction service. The other one is temporary transfer or permitting the use or enjoyment of intellectual property right. Temporary transfer or permitting the use or enjoyment of intellectual property right. Temporarily transferred, no title has been transferred. In that case, it is supply of service. Development, design, programming, customization, adaptation, upgradation, enhancement, implementation of information technology software, supply of service, because there is no title has been transferred. Sir, Rafi Academy has its own software which now they want to upgrade, they want to enhance to present classes in effective manner. Therefore, Wipro Limited furthermore enhanced the existing software of Rafi Academy, supply of service. No, sir. Wipro Private Limited already developed a very good customized software. Wipro Limited owned that software. Now Rafi Academy wanted to buy that software. The Wipro Limited transferring title on such software to Rafi Academy. No one should forget it is supply of goods said by the Supreme Court of India in the case of Tata Consultancy Services. If software is designed, developed, put in a media and sold, it could still be treated as sale of goods by applying the principle of Supreme Court of India decision in the case of Tata Consultancy Services. In the said case, it was held that the goods may be tangible property or intangible property, as the case may be. It would become goods provided that attributes thereof having regard to utility, capability of being bought and sold, capable of being transmitted, transferred, delivered, stored and posed. These all elements are included, are there in that particular transaction. One can say that it is a supply of goods. If a software, whether customized or non-customized, satisfies the above these attributes, the same would be called goods. Example, antivirus software available in the market to buy and sell, and I purchase it, supply of goods. I purchase the what we can call as the MS Office available in the market. It is called supply of goods. You get my point, sir? So, title has been transferred. One can able to store and sell. One can bring in the market to sell. It is called supply of goods. No, sir, the existing one, the existing one furthermore customized to enhance the utility of the software is supply of services. Further referring to you here, very important point number E, agreeing to the obligation to refrain from an act or to tolerate an act or a situation or to do an act for a kind consideration. Based on this particular agreeing to the obligation to refrain from an act or to tolerate an act or to situation or to do an act, there is an elaborate circular has been issued by the CBSE in the recent past, which is applicable for your November 2022 exam onwards. That has been very clearly presented in your material, stating that in the given case, the said expression, namely agreeing to the obligation to refrain from an act or to do an act or to tolerate an act or to a situation or to do an act specifically declared by the GST Council to be a supply of service, which has been further elaborated by the CBSE in the given circular. This circular has been explained to you elaboratively in the recent past, and that particular video clip has been sent to your desk. Please refer to your desk. I sent this particular content elaboratively. 40 minutes I have explained about this particular agreeing to the obligation to refrain from an act or to tolerate an act or a situation or to do an act, which is specifically called declared service, which has been further clarified by the CBSE in the circular number 178/10/2022 GST dated 3rd August 2022, which has been explained to you elaboratively already. I sent to your desk the particular recorded class. You please go through it, my dear friends. Thereby we can able to save the time here. Is it clear? Confirmation please give to me. Give the confirmation please. Have you received or not? Please go through at your end. I am Rafi sir, only taken the same subject and recorded one mode, which is 40 minutes around, which is sent to you. Please go through that and ask out here in the class. I am there to clarify. Now please come back. So I am referring schedule 2, point number 5, where renting of human property, construction, temporary transfer and software development, agreeing to the obligation. Then finally I am referring here F, transfer of the right to use any goods for any purpose, whether or not for a specified period, for cash, deferred payment or any other valuable consideration. Meaning what? My dear friends, are you aware of that? Financial lease. In the case of a financial lease, the lease term agreement is substantially covering the entire lease period. Financial lease, the concept is that financial lease where the NBFC made available the asset to the lessee, where the life of the asset is 10 years, means the lease agreement also for 10 years. So throughout the lease period, the lessor will collect from you the lease rental comprising the principal and interest. It is called supply of service for the entire 10 years supply of service. Got the clarity, my dear friends? So referring to you again, supply of service, when you say financial lease will cover here as a exactly matching concept. Asset given by lessor to the lessee for 10 years under lease. Financial lease, where the lessee is paying to the lessor the lease rental comprising the principal and interest every year. That is called supply of service for every year. At the end of the lease period, at the end of the 10th year in our given example, the asset will return back to lessor. In that case, that lease will get over. If the lessee exercises the option, the right to acquire the asset at the end of the lease period, the lessor bound to sell. Lessor should not say, no, I won't sell the asset, I want to get back. Not possible, because the financial lease man, under the financial lease, at the end of the lease, the lessee has the option to exercise the acquiring the asset. Then lessor bound to sell. In that case, at the end of the lease period, when the lessor given that asset to the lessee, is called as supply of goods, since there is a title on the goods transferred to the lessee at the end of the lease period, where the lessee exercises the option to acquire the asset. That is called supply of goods. Throughout the lease period, we call supply of services. 5 points we referred, and point number 6, the last point under schedule 2, composite supply, where works contract service. I told you, a transaction in relation to immovable property, construction of an immovable property, a civil structure, whatnot. In that case, works contract under GST says that the value of material, value of labor goes hand in hand. In spite of that, entire value of works contract will be called as supply of service, which is a declared service. Sub point B is nothing but restaurant services, where the supply of goods and services provided directly by the restaurant fellow to the customers as hand in hand, one cannot able to bifurcate from the other. In that case, entire supply of goods as well as service, whatever may build, will be treated as supply of services, except alcoholic liquor meant for human consumption. Alcohol liquor meant for human consumption is not come under the GST law, therefore we are not referred that here. So restaurant services supply the goods along with the service, the entire value will be called as supply of services. The last point, point number 7, already omitted, we already referred in the section 7 subsection 1 clause AA. We refer the time itself. Any difficulty in the given case, my dear friends? Is only what is called supply of goods, what is called supply of services, a brief to you, and elaborately furthermore we have what is supply of goods, what is supply of services, what is not mentioned in the schedule 2, how to identify, refer the section 8, namely composite supply, mixed supply, where we have the various ample of circulars as well as case laws to bifurcate the value of goods, value of services in a given supply. If not able to bifurcate, we can call it as supply of goods or we can call supply of services. Got the clarity, my dear friends? So for the time being, we are referred here schedule 2 by inviting the attention what is supply of goods, what is supply of services, declared 6 points. That points we referred. What are the 6 points? Quickly recapitulate. 1 is nothing but transfer. 2, land and building. 3, any process or treatment. 4, transfer of business assets. 5, supply of services. 6, composite supply.